Hi everyone, and welcome to the All Things ITSM Global Podcast, coming to you from Knowledge 16 in Las Vegas. I'm Kirsty McGowan. I'm here with Carlos Casanova.
Hello, Kirsty.
Charlie Betts.
Kirsty.
And it's our pleasure to be chatting with Andrew Harsch from Unisys today. Hi, Andrew.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah,
Welcome,
pleasure.
Andrew.
Our pleasure.
So, Andrew, welcome, and welcome Unisys to the podcast. If we could start, if you could tell me a little bit about, tell me your title with Unisys and your current activities. I believe having to do with IT service management.
Yeah, so I'm the Global Director for Service Management and Analytics Solutions at Unisys, and that comprises really a more strategic role, meeting with clients, talking about future visions, how to be able to align that to a mix of their people, process, and technology, and then to really be able to facilitate. What we like to do is a lot of strategic workshops, really to show people what the art of the possible is. Not a selling kind of a vehicle, but just really show them, here's what's going on in the market. Here's areas that you should be looking at. So that's my role, is to bring that kind of innovation, that kind of industry thinking, and say, here's what's going on in the market. Now let's talk about where you're at and where you want to go. So we don't like to sell. We like to be able to push a point of view into people, but really to base it off of what they're doing out in the market with their systems, and then be able to go just like a doctor, and then give them a proper prescription. So now that once we understand it, so that's what I spend a lot of my time is with the industry analysts out here with our partners like ServiceNow, and then out with clients.
And you mentioned earlier as we were talking that you're doing quite a bit with Supplier Integration and Management as well in the SIAM space.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting dynamic of what we're seeing going on right now. It's an interesting mix of the old and the new. And so let me just tell you a little bit about. So the old is the classic ITEL kind of a methodology around service portfolio. And usually when we talk to people, it's we're asking them, do you have a strategy? Yeah, most of the time. Where are you at on it from a portfolio standpoint? Well, I've got a list. That's not very much, okay? But it's a good start.
That's
at least I've
start.
got them listed,
Yeah.
and
For
hopefully
some,
I know
that's
where
a-
it's going. So now when you combine that with the new advanced discovery tools, so now at least I can say, here's service A. Now I'm going to go out there and do this discovery round. So that's starting to bring the new. And so now when I go and do this vertical discovery, and I can create this nice advanced vertical integration map. Well, we're able to take that and utilize some of our technology around security of microsegmentation and create a secure community of interest. And so if we were all the finance team and we had a core set of components and services that we were accessing, the four of us are the only ones allowed to access into it, we create a community of interest.
Right.
Those 4 or 5 components are 4 or 5 people. We're the only ones able to access. So if any time anywhere else in the organization gets penetrated, nobody can all of a sudden route their way and see into these core assets because they go dark. And so what we've now created is a secure service. And so now we can go and apply security throughout an organization at a service level and build it up through the portfolio. Now you mentioned SIAM. So now I've got this advanced service map. I've secured it. Now I'm going to start to monitor it. And then I'm going to apply my classic, resolution and orchestration. But now I've got the components identified. So now I can say, well, different towers, different teams, different suppliers, and now I can all start to bring that all together. So now I have deeply integrated, secure service management all the way at the bare level. And we think that that's this really great way of bringing back some of that old with the new. We're talking about service performance and secure service at the same time.
Yeah, and that's interesting because one of the things that I've been working with my clients with, and it ties in with the DevOps and the Agile and all these things that are happening, is we've always looked at, even from testing. Well, we build it, then we test it. And the security, oh, well, then we make sure it's secure. And it's always like very procedural. It really has to be all part of that same effort. There has to be a component of security, a component of testing, all within the development early on. And the security thing, right, I view it as, because we know we're going to get breached. Every organization is going to do it. So it almost sounds like you're expecting the fact that it's going to get through the perimeter, and you're actually securing already internally, which is an interesting model since the breaches have already shown that they're in the network for far too long before they're detected. So, so it sounds like you're really that one step ahead now to say, we expect them already to be inside, So we're going to start securing at this
Oh,
isolated
absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things you hear us talking about is that you can no longer, you can't keep building
Yes.
the walls on the outside.
Yeah,
okay?
perimeter,
yeah.
People are always getting through it. So with micro-segmentation, the way we're approaching this, as it applies then to the service management approach, it's building up really
Yeah.
from what I call like the least common denominator at a service level.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to go and tackle and try to get you to implement this technology throughout the entire organization, 50,000
Yep.
employees and all this different stuff. I just want to start out with your most core services.
Right.
So, could be your health records, could be your employer records, the financial records. Let's build from that. It works on, any device, whether you're logging in from your
Yes.
home station
Yep.
or your remote. It's got your credentials. It all the way goes into a
Yep.
mobile. So we've secured it there, and then we'll just grow it. So that's
Yep.
why I say then it goes back to that portfolio. Now let's go look at the portfolio. So because it's the
Yep.
services, and that's where the information
Yeah.
is that you're trying to access
Yeah.
at. So we're not looking at these service components as just a database
Yes.
here and
Yep.
records there. We're sitting there going, what makes up that service? And it may dip into the Active Directory. It may dip into the HR records. It may go into the financial
Yep.
systems. It may go into the big ERP systems. So we identify what those core services are, map them, monitor them.
Yep.
So we can monitor them from a service performance, an application performance,
Right.
and a security performance. And then we can bring some other things, with advanced threat protection
Yep.
and a bunch of that great security monitoring that you want to know what's going on.
Right.
But it's really interesting when you watch this demo that we can do, and here's a standard service, and we release a phishing app and everything, and you can start to see it penetrate.
Yep.
Then we run it when the service is secured by Unisys Stealth.
Yep.
And you see it running, and nothing happens.
Right. So it's almost like you're building a network of safe rooms within an organisation.
Yeah, so
yeah.
instead of rooms,
Yeah. Yeah.
services. So
Yes.
now when we're talking to a service
Yeah.
management audience, and you're talking, so you mentioned the DevOps or the development, the operations team. Well, now I've got a way to talk about from the service operations
Yep.
team to the security operations team.
Right.
Talking your language, talking his language, I bring it
Yeah.
together. And it's a great, nice way
Yeah.
to really secure an organization.
Yes. Yeah, because you can't secure the perimeter.
No.
That's impossible.
It's
Yeah.
it's too dynamic
Yeah.
right now. Every time you deploy something, somebody's hacking around it.
Yes.
So this is some really advanced
Yeah.
encryption technology for data in motion,
Yep.
data at rest. Came out of our work with the Department of Defense, so it's pretty advanced.
Yes.
So it's not just, let's just throw up another firewall or three more
Yeah.
of them, and
Right.
we'll see how long it takes
Yeah.
somebody to be able to hack it.
Yeah, well, defense in depth, I mean, that's definitely some of
But
the
the,
best
the,
practice.
like I said, and the thing that I really like it is that since we're looking at it, this is a service management show, so we're
Yeah.
talking about
Yep.
service performance. So
Yes.
what's a nice way that when we look at services, we ask, are they engaged? Are they automated? Are they secured? And are
Yep.
they analyzed? And we give those four components to this type of a
Yep.
service strategy. So that's the kind of thing that when I'm out talking with IT leaders, this is where we say, where are you going? How does your service portfolio and strategy look from those kind of four
Yep.
dimensions? And that's where we get a really interesting discussion.
And I would think, so one of the things, the perimeter, the traditional perimeter, that outside
Yeah.
perimeter, we poked holes in it starting years ago as soon as we
Yeah.
allowed remote access, and then
Yeah.
cloud, and then service providers, and half of our business is running outside now. So the outside perimeter, still have to do it, but there's all those holes. So now it seems like there's an internal perimeter just around the small pieces, which has a lot less holes. But I would think that also enables the resilience component of when it happens. How can we get it, back up and running a little bit faster? Because you've isolated it down. The vigilance piece, you're a lot more vigilant around that more secure piece, that more important piece, rather than, this blanket
Yes.
level of vigilance.
Well, so if we get this secured service, one of the things we give you is really that assurance. So a different level of service assurance that service is not going to be penetrated or breached.
Right.
Okay. Now, we still have then, that hardware-software performance. So service could get degraded, service could have an outage. So we do need that
Yeah.
resolution and the restoration of the service. But what this advanced service mapping is doing is when we go out and do, let's say, a data center discovery service, and we've had this a couple of times, somebody consolidating like 50 data centers to 2. When we start to discover these assets, then all of a sudden we start finding some real security vulnerabilities.
Oh, yeah.
What are all these boxes over here that are way out of date, no patches for 3 years, et cetera? We don't know.
Yep.
Well, now we're finding then applications that are running on it. What are those? We don't know. So right away then we've given you a huge view into your security posture by discovery. And so then when we're now bringing that in, we're able to get rid of those things.
Yep.
So move you to more advanced platforms, move it to a secure private cloud or a public cloud. So we
Yes.
can provide those as well. And so we're changing the way that IT leaders are looking at a service portfolio and a service strategy. So it's not just, well, here's a list of things, I'm going to put it out there, and then you send me a bunch of help desk tickets.
Right.
No, we're giving you a whole different way to look at it. So I
Right.
think it's pretty exciting right now.
Yeah.
Sounds it.
No,
Sounds
it
it.
does.
Right.
Yeah, I really like that idea of just the little pockets of really secure services within an organisation. It makes perfect sense because there is no way you're going to stop people getting in from the outside.
No,
But if you can protect those critical areas, I mean,
well, and
Yeah.
like I said, and then you can still apply
Yeah.
some great security
Yes.
type monitoring.
Yeah.
You get with your traditional application
Yeah.
monitoring, you're looking at network monitoring,
Yep.
but now you're really giving what I think is
Yes.
a real 360 degree view.
Right.
So that's why I say, when we talk about it as a service engaged, so we can even look at end user analytics.
Right.
So I've got a service out there, how are people using it?
Yep.
Where are things breaking down? You know, so now when we're looking at those core underlying components, is it the mobile application? Is it the wireless network? Is it the WAN? You know, is it the application server?
Yep.
So once again, we're giving you a really dynamic way to look at services, starting with that discovery, starting with
Yep.
that map, and then we build up from there.
great.
Cool.
Well, thanks, Andrew. You've given us some real food for thought today. It's
Good.
been a great conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you,
your
Andrew.
time.